Hello Slingshot friends. Well, today we're going to talk about distance shooting. Shooting at 10 meters, shooting at 15 meters, 20 meters and even further. So we all know that you can utilize some form of gap shooting, either aiming above or below the target with your normal anchor point if you shoot short draw and anchor against your face. You can also drop your anchor point, move it up or down depending on the distance you're shooting from. But there's one or two other ways of doing it, and I'm going to show you how today. So what we are going to do today is the following. I've got a Scout X prepared here with 0.5 bands, a 23-14 taper. I've got a Scout LT2 with exactly the same band set, exactly the same length. These are all 18 centimeters active length, and it's 23-14 taper, Scout LT2. And I've got an Axiom exactly with the same band set, 23-14 taper, also 18 centimeters. These are 0.5s. And I've got my 8mm steel ammo ready and lined up. And what we're going to do is, with exactly the same anchor point, shoot the Scout X at 10 meters, exactly the same anchor point, shoot the LT2 at 15 meters, and exactly the same anchor point, shoot at 20 meters with the Axiom, and exactly the same pouches, exactly the same band sets. And then we're going to see whether or not it's possible to shoot 8mm steel with exactly the same anchor point, not move it up or down, with these three slingshots and hit the target at 10, 15 and 20 meters. Then for round two, what we're going to do is, this is a 0.5. We've got three exactly the same slingshots, only difference is color, the Axioms. This one I've set up for 10 meters with a 0.5 band set, 18 centimeters in active length, 23-14 taper. Here we've got exactly the same length, exactly the same taper, but it's a 0.55. And here we've got the same, but it's a 0.6, 23-14 taper, also 18 centimeter active length. Then we're going to shoot this at 10 meters, this at 15 meters, and this one at 20 meters, and see if it's possible to configure your slingshots either by way of fork width and either by way of different band sets to create that accurate shot at different distances with the same anchor point. So this is 102 millimeters fork width, this is 94, and this is about 92. So the differences in fork width are going to be utilized for the differences in distances, and here we're going to use the difference in band thickness, 0.5, 0.55 and 0.6, to see if our experiment works out. And guys, one more thing. If you do like our videos, please remember to like and subscribe. I'm not going to tell all you smart people about fancy stuff like algorithms and whatnot, but you will ultimately get it if I ask you to like and subscribe. Please remember to do so. Okay, so there's the catch box with the target, and you'll see that I have stuck that tape directly underneath the catch box. It's running back. Here's my 10-meter mark. There's my piece of sticky tape. And then it runs back all the way into the house. Here I've made my 15-meter mark. And there's my 20-meter mark. So I've got 20, 15 and 10 marked out. So that's about the best I can do to have a decent shot camera wise and distance wise with the tape. And I've measured with the rangefinder, it's exactly the same. Round number one, Scout X, 8mm steel, 0.5 bands. There's the target, 10 meters. And I'm going to use the same anchor point that I normally use for the Scout X. I'm going to shoot 3 shots and then we'll move on to 15 meters. We're starting at 10 with the Scout X. On the edges, but they both, all three of them were hits. Right, let's move on to 15 meters. Right, round number 2, Scout LT2. Exactly the same bands as with the Scout X. This one, we're going to shoot at 15 meters, also with 8mm steel, and most importantly, with exactly the same anchor point as I did use for the Scout X at 10 meters. I'm going to go back to 15 meters, I'll stand at my spot, and then do 3 bullets as well. Right, 3 shots with the Scout LT2. Double check, I'm at 15 meters, 8mm steel. That's it. Bang on target. Same anchor point as with the Scout X. Bang. Same anchor point as with the Scout X at 10 meters. There we go. 3 shots in a row. Scout LT2, exactly the same anchor point as with the Scout X at 10 meters. Okay, round number 3 now with the Axiom at 20 meters. Same band set as the other 2 slingshots. Also 8mm steel. I'm just hanging like a finch over this little fridge here. I had to set up in the most peculiar fashion in order to get record the shots at 20 meters from inside the house. So I might not hit it with the 3 shots that I'm going to shoot, but I'll shoot a few more shots. We can see the height. What we're looking for is that we're shooting a good height, because I'm going to shoot with exactly the same anchor point as the Scout X and the LT2, but this time now 20 meters. That was just a little bit high, just over the top of that target. I think it may have been me. Let's see. Spot on. I didn't change anything about the anchor point. I just had a bit of follow through. Spot on again. Same story. Same anchor point. Good follow through. Nicked it on the side. That's 3 in a row, 1 miss. It was a tiny little bit high. Contribute that to me. I would say that this has been quite an effective experiment. We saw that we can, with the same anchor point, hit that little target. It's a 4 centimeter spinner target, the smallest size target used for competition shooting in slingshots. 4 centimeter spinner target, 10 meters, 15 meters, and now 20 meters using different frames. And exactly the same band sets, and exactly the same anchor point. Let's give it one more shot. Let's see if this is actually true. Let's see. Just want to make 100% sure. Do a good follow through. Just left. Pin eye. The height wasn't the issue. I just drifted left. Spot on again. The height has not changed. The height remained constant. So a bit of left and right. The first shot was a little tad high, but that was me. The rest, spot on. Okay, so before we progress, to shooting the different band thickness at different distances, let's quickly see what the fork width gave us. So there is your Scout X and Scout LT2. The difference is about 8 millimeters. That difference in 8 millimeters makes for a difference in about a 4 millimeter anchor point. That is enough, provided that you've got a specific setup with regards to speed and ammo. That is enough to have the same trajectory at 10 meters and 15 meters respectively. So you can utilize the Scout X at 10 meters and the Scout LT2 at 15 meters because of the difference in fork width very successfully. I'll give you a pointer. My configuration is 0.5 latex with 8mm steel. My taper was a 2314, active length 18, and the speed for the 0.5 latex is 230 plus minus 230 feet per second. Now, if you can configure, whether or not it's with 9mm steel or 9.5mm steel and thicker latex, a similar setup that provides for somewhere between 225 and 240 feet per second, I promise you, you could end up with more or less the same results and be effective at 10 and 15 meters with two different slingshots while using the same anchor position. And then going to 20 meters, you'll see you can do exactly the same. I use 0.5 latex, 8mm steel. That difference between the Axiom and the Scout LT2, that's about a 4mm difference. That was sufficient to get proper shot placement at 20 meters. So that trajectory there, that difference between 15 and 20 meters, the Axiom brought it to the, gave us a lot of options with the same band set and the same ammo and the same speed. All we did was we got into shooting with a different fork width. That's all it boils down to. So now we're going to look at shooting 10, 15 and 20 meters with different band thickness. Okay, so now I've got three exactly the same slingshot frames here, the Axiom, just three different colors, and a 0.5 band set, 0.55 band set, and a 0.6 band set. All the same tapers, all the same length. I'm going to use exactly the same anchor point, slightly higher from where I normally anchor for the Scout X. My Axiom anchor point, I know exactly where it is. I'm going to use that anchor point. That is my preferred anchor point actually. That is the one that I would like to use for all my slingshots. So now I'm going to use that anchor point for the Axiom, 10 meters, 15 meters, and 20 meters. Right, first up is the Axiom with 0.5 bands, shooting the 8mm steel at 10 meters now. And I'm going to use my preferred Axiom anchor point. Uh, on the edges, but it's a hit, but I want to plant it in the middle. But it's all not always going to plan when you're making a movie. Yeah, that's better. One more for good luck. Okay, let's do the 15 meters now. Right, now it's 15 meters, same frame, Axiom, just a different color. Only difference is the band set. This is a 0.55, a little bit thicker, a little bit faster, still using exactly the same anchor point and the same 8mm steel ammo. There we go. Let's shoot 3 shots and see, or at least try and get a good indication of the height. Right there, 15 meters on the dot. Here we go. just to the right. Perfect height. Perfect height. Just drifted out at 3 o'clock of the target. That's it. One more for good measure. That's it. So now we're going to go to 20 meters. The camera is in the same position as the previous shot, the 50-meter shot, but I'm just going to go further back. It's too difficult to set it up there in the back. I'm still shooting the Axiom frame, just a different color. And this time we're shooting thicker bands, the 0.6 bands. So we used 0.5 at 10 meters, and then we used 0.55 at 50, and now 0.6 at 20. Let's see what it brings. Just want to get into position, huh? My 20-meter spot. And let's see what we can do. Just nicked it. Did touch it on the right hand side. So the height looked to be fine. Height looks good. And I'll count that as a sort of hit. It's a small target. That's proper. Oh, that's better. Okay, so the height is good, but I must tell you that the tension is a bit more, okay? So you need to make sure that you do practice with 0.6 bands. It is a bit of a bit more tension. So that first shot, I sort of felt, what's going on here now? I had to just reconfigure my mind. That's why I sort of touched it on the right. And once I got my head around it, that I'm shooting a bigger tension, then the last two shots were okay. So I think it proves that you can use 0.5 latex at 15, at 10, 0.5 at 10, 0.55 at 15, and zero point 0.6 at 20 meters successfully with the same taper, with the same length, with the same setup, same pouch, and the same frame. You don't have to change the anchor point. What we need to do now, I think, in order to see what the reason for that is to shoot this through a Chrony, all three slingshots, with the three different band sets, and see what the speed is, and see what speed it gives you, your 10-meter shot, your 15-meter shot, and your 20-meter shot. What is your feet per second, and see what the correlation is we can draw from that. Okay, so in this video, we shot the 0.5 latex, a 2314 taper. Then we shot the 0.55 latex, which is also a 2314 taper, and the same pouches even. And then lastly, we shot the 0.6 latex, which is also a 2314 taper, and all of them have exactly the same length. My active length is 18 centimeters. And even when we shot the Scout X and the Scout LT2 with a 0.5 latex, same as with the one Axiom at 10 meters, we used exactly the same band setups, 2314 tapers and 18 centimeter active length. So I believe we can shoot these three and see what the speeds are, the difference in speed are, and let's see what we can learn from that. So first up, 0.5 latex, shooting with 8mm steel. 230. 231. Let's do one more. Didn't read it. It's a bit sunny outside. I've seen sometimes with sharp sun, that duplicate 231. So 230, 231. That is our speed with the 0.5 latex. Now let's see what it does with a 0.55. Same taper, same actors length. .240, about 10 feet per second faster. .243, .238. So let's call it at 240. So 240, so 230, 231, and 239, 240, 238, 243. So there's about a 10 feet per second difference between the 0.5 and the 0.55. Now let's see what the 0.6 latex does. Exactly the same taper and exactly the same length. Didn't read it. It's the sun. 247. That's almost another 10 feet per second. 246. 250. No, I didn't read it. Last one. 246. So it looks like a 8 to 10 feet per second jump between the 0.5, the 0.55 and the 0.6. And that's why you can use the 0.5 at 10 meters, the 0.55 at 15 and the 0.6 at 20. That difference in speed accommodates for the trajectory and for the drop in the bullet, and therefore you can use the same anchor point. And now you've also seen that it is possible to shoot with exactly the same frame, just different band thickness at 10, 15 and 20 meters, and trust me, you can do so even further. I have gone up to 0.65 and 0.7 latex and tried my hand at 25 and 30 meters even, and it basically works out just fine. What you need to do is to play around with your tapers and with your active length, and have it configured in such a way that you virtually run with between 10 and 15 feet per second jump in speed between the different band thickness as you progress every 5 meters or so. So it is quite possible not to have to do gap shooting, but you can use your same anchor position by either using different frames, fork widths, or using different band thicknesses. So you don't have to do gap shooting, and you can use the same anchor point. You just need to configure your slingshot by playing around with your tapers, playing around with speed, see where that sweet spot is for the different setups, and you might have a lot of fun shooting at different distances.